Yesterday we began the portion of Re'eh, where Moshe Rabbeinu says, Re'eh, I'm placing before you today bracha and kolala, blessing and the curse. The bracha is im tishmu el mitzvos Hashem Elokechem. That is the bracha. Heeding the word of Hashem, that's the bracha. Shem anochi mitzavcha eschem hayom. The kolala im lo tishmu mitzvos Hashem Elokechem. The curse is if you will not heed the word of Hashem. V'sartem min haderech asher anochi mitzav eschem hayom, and you deviate from the path which I'm commanding you today. Leches achrei elim achero asher lo yidatem, to go after alien gods which you're not aware of, you don't know. So we had mentioned yesterday the word Re'eh. Re'eh means see. I mean, it's a level of understanding where it's the equivalent of what visually seeing something. It's not something which is abstract, but rather it's at a level of clarity where there is no way to see it other than the way I'm presenting it. So what I explained was nobody had credibility in terms of the one who communicates the word of Hashem as Moshe had the credibility. Firstly, Moshe Rabbeinu, he himself, Chazal tell us that Shechina medaberes b'to grono, that when he spoke, it's as if the divine presence spoke through his mouth. The Torah had described Moshe Rabbeinu that whenever he communicated any laws to Klal Yisrael, he always took off his mask. He wore a mask because the rays, the radiance of his spirituality was so intense, the Jews had difficulty even looking at it. But it's much more than that. Because the Jews had failed with the Chet Egel, they were not worthy to see those rays of holiness, of Kedusha, unless it was in the context of being touched through the words of Torah. So when he was speaking to them, communicating the laws, or rebuking them, which had relevance to their spirituality, he uncovered his face. Otherwise, his face normally was covered. When you saw Moshe Rabbeinu in his full form, his spiritual form, radiating Hashem's presence, and as I said, he was only a conduit for the word of Hashem. Shechin medaberes toch grono, the Shechina spoke through his throat, so to say. It's Re'eh. It's not today I am presenting. Re'eh. You see with an absolute level of clarity, it's the equivalent of seeing, as we always say, seeing is believing. Therefore, it's Re'eh. Now, it's interesting, the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh makes it a point. Re'eh is singular. Plural, it would be Re'u. And then it says, Re'eh anochi nosei lifneichem. Doesn't say, Re'eh anochi nosei lefonecho in the singular. We should be consistent. Re'eh anochi nosei lefonecho. In the singular, I'm presenting for you in the singular. Or it should have said, Re'u. You should see that I'm presenting lifneichem, which is plural. Why don't we go from the singular to the plural? This is a point the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh makes. So he explains that each Jew, in terms of their capacity and the level of clarity, was based upon their own individual level of spirituality. I'll give you an example. Two people experience the same thing. Two people go to the kosa, and they're touched, but they touch differently. Why they touch differently? It could be for many reasons. But let's speak about one person is more spiritually attuned, the other person is less spiritually attuned. The person who's more spiritually attuned is going to be touched with that experience differently than the person who's less spiritually attuned. So they're both actually they're in the same situation. They're exposed to the same location, but the takeaway for each one is a different takeaway. So Re'eh is based on each individual. That's singular. I'm presenting before all of you, but even though I'm presenting before all of you in the plural, but each individual I presented before all of you, each one sees in his own unique way, and he has his own takeaway because he's at his own specific level and his own very unique level of capacity. So therefore, we go from the singular to the plural. Therefore, it's Re'eh in the singular. I'm presenting before you, before all of you, before Klal Yisrael. Brocha and Klolo. You have two people meeting a special person, a Godel Batorah. And one says, did you ever meet such a man? I've never met such a person. The other person says, I don't see what you're being impressed with. It's true, he's a smart man. He looks like an observant man, a religious man, a devout man. But what are you getting? What are you so taken by him? The other person's taken. The other person has a different capacity. Because that person has a different level of representation to one and doesn't have to the other one, although they see the same thing. So each thing is individualized, but the man stands before both of them. That's Re'eh in the singular going to the plural, Lefnechem. That's the Orach Chaim HaKodesh. V'oyo ki yiviacha Hashem Elokecha, Pasuk Chavtes. When God will bring you El Oretz Hashatov V'Hashem L'Rishto, that you're coming there to inherit. The Notzat is a brocha al Har Grizim. The brocha will be given on Har Grizim. That's a klal ha'evil, which the Gemara which the person will explain. Klal Yisrael were divided in half. 6 tribes were on Mount Grizim, and 6 tribes were on Har Evil, and the Leviim with the Kohen stood between the 2 mountains with the Aron. And they turned to each one. And they said, first, Baruch, blessed is the one who does this and doesn't this. Cursed is the one who violates. And all Klal Yisrael answer Amen. They turned to Har Grizim and said, Baruch. And they turned to Har Evil and said, Orur, cursed. So Rashi explains, Al Har Grizim, Klapi Har Grizim, Hofchim Pedeim. They would turn towards Har Grizim, Upasul Baruch, Baruch Isheshelo, Yaser, Pesul Masecha. Blessed is the person who does not make the idol and the molten image. Whenever it says Orur, before they said cursed, they said blessed. And then the Torah goes and identifies where these mountains are. Elohema Be'ever HaYarden. These mountains are in Ever HaYarden. Achri Derechim Bo'Hashemesh Be'eretz HaKnani. HaYoshev HaRova Bo'Hagilgul Eitzel Lo Neimoreh. Okay? Ki atem ovrim es HaYarden Lovo L'Rish Esoretz. You're crossing the Jordan to inherit, to conquer the land. Asher Hashem Elokechem Nosein Lochem. V'rishtem Oso, you will inherit it. V'yishaptem Bo, and you will settle in it. So Rashi says, what is, you're crossing the Jordan. I mean, when they cross it, they'll cross it. They know that's where they're going. What is he telling you? And you're crossing the Jordan to come to conquer the land. So Rashi says, again, the Chazal, Nisim shel Yarden Yisimu biyedchem. When you cross the Jordan, you can experience miracles. When they crossed the Yarden, what happened at the Yam Suf, the splitting of the sea, the Yarden split. The Jews, they crossed on dry land. They didn't have to wade through the water to get across the Yarden or cross with boats. So the Nisim, which took place at the Yarden, those miracles will be an indication and a confirmation that you're going to inherit this land. You're going to conquer the land and you're going to settle there. Shetavo v'tirshus ha'oretz. It's interesting. What do they need? Nisim. What do they need? Miracles. To be a confirmation that they're going to succeed in their conquest. You understand, at the time of the Chet Egel, Moshe, they miscalculated, and they believed Moshe was delayed and did not come back when he was supposed to come back. As a result of that, they believe he died. And as it says over the Chazal, cite the Midrash, that Satan had caused the world to turn dark, and that he had created an image in heaven as if they saw the remains of Moshe being carried. And they said, Moshe died, he's no longer here. The Jews felt abandoned. And because their background was idolatry in Egypt, so the rabble introduced a concept of the past. We're going to make a golden calf. That's the story. Moshe is in place. There's not even a consideration. Now there's a transition in leadership from Moshe to Yoshua. The question is, could Yoshua do what Moshe did? Moshe, no question, Yoshua's relationship is not the same relationship as Moshe's. But the fact is, will Yeshua succeed if he's not Moshe as Moshe would have succeeded? Therefore, they needed the confirmation when they crossed that Jordan, when they're going, this is Yeshua's leadership, because Moshe did not cross the Jordan. At this moment, Moshe did not go across the Jordan. They needed a conclusive confirmation that Yeshua will succeed. How is it confirmed that he's going to succeed? Already at the entry point, miracles are taking place. Yeshua is bringing you to land on a supernatural level, not on the natural level. Because to conquer the land, you need supernatural. As we find, the first conquest was Yericho. They encircled Yericho the first day and 7 days each time. One time, on the 7th, they blew the shofar. On the 7th day, 7 times, and the walls sunk into the ground. And then went and destroyed Yericho. So the whole conquest was meant to be miraculous, no casualties. But what was the proof? What was the confirmation? Atim over Mayomas Yarden. When you cross the Yarden, and I will no longer be there, but the miracles will continue. That's a confirmation that Yeshua, although he's not me, as it says, Pnei Yeshua Pnei Levana, he was only a reflection of his Rebbe. As the moon reflects the light of the sun, that was the equivalent of Yeshua versus his Rebbe, Moshe Rabbeinu. Nevertheless, the miracles will confirm that Yeshua will be no less effective in terms of the conquest. That's the reason why they needed the miracles at this moment.